Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishna te namaha. Shri Ramakrishna's strong only the only obstruction to yoga. Sri Ramakrishna says mind is captured, the soul is captured by worldly possessions and worldly enjoyment, which he used the term Kamini Kanchana, desire for the worldly enjoyments, and nothing else obstructs your work, your activity, your thought, and all these people around you, the world outside. So many objects of temptation in the world, nothing obstructs your vision of God, your transcendence of nature. You are reaching the perfection. Nothing obstructs except what he called Kamini Kanchana, desire for enjoyment and the possessions as mine. Again, take the pair of scales. For example, if the weight is placed on one side, the lower needle moves away from the upper one. The lower needle is mind and upper needle is God. The meeting of the two is yoga. Mind, if it remains united with God, then it is yoga. If it is united with the world and its possessions, it is bhoga, yoga and bhoga. Anything other than God is world. There are only two things, world and God. So the mind, same mind, turn towards divine, turn towards the world. Where are you? How you are? What are you doing? Nothing worries. Where is your mind stuck to? Where is your heart bound to? Unless the mind becomes steady, there cannot be yoga. If the wind of the worldliness that always disturbs the mind, which may be likened to candle flame, if the flame does not move at all, then one is said to have attained yoga. The mind doesn't flicker, it is steady. Woman and gold alone are the obstacles of yoga. Always analyze what you see. What is there in the body of woman? Only things like as blood, flesh, fat, entrails and the like. Why should one love such a body? Every desire. He has gone to the extreme to show the base physical instinct in man, which is keeping him bound to the world, and all other desires, even eating, wearing fine dress, moving about in the world, parties, so many things. Everything you have to analyze and see what is there, what is there, what is it to me. Sometimes I used to assume a Rajasic mood in order to practice renunciation. I used to assume a Rajasic mood in order to practice renunciation. See, Sattvic mood, Rajasic mood, Tamasic mood. Tamasic mood is immersed in the world and doesn't know it is immersed in the world, doesn't care to know. It is full of lethargy, excessive anger, wrath, lust, and all these things. The Rajasic is full of activity, running here, there, this, there, I want, that I want. All these activities. Sattvic is calm and collected, settled down, peace invoking, nature. So Rajasic is activity. I want this, I want that. Now, in this you see, Sri Ramakrishna says, I am adopting that. How? Once I had a desire to put on a gold embroidered robe, wear a ring on my finger, and smoke a hubble bubble with a long pipe. Mathur Babu, Mathur Babu procured all these things for me. I wore the gold embroidered robe and said to myself after a while, mind, this is what is called a gold embroidered robe. Then I took it off and threw it away. I could not stand the robe anymore. Again I said to myself, mind, this is called a shawl, and this is a ring, and this smoking a hubble bubble with a long pipe. I threw those things away once for all, and the desire to enjoy them never arose in my mind again. See how the man's mind gets possessed. It wants. When you analyze and see, oh, this is what is wearing golden ring. Mind, why are you aspiring for this? And giving up the eternal joy and bliss of presence of God, which you are going to transcend the entire nature forever and go. For the sake of ring, you are renouncing that. This is what wearing costly robes. Each thing he analyzes and sees. So every desire which may any time bother you, just analyze, enter into it, and even otherwise, whenever you enjoy anything, at the end of enjoyment, you repent. All of us, we have seen how we repent after each enjoyment. Oh, why did I go again for that? Again this dirt, I am rolling about, wallowing in this mud of the enjoyments. Each time we feel guilty. So, but we overlook it. We again look with a new enthusiasm at the same thing, covering our guilt, and as if we are covering ourselves with ignorance. This is Sri Ramakrishna used to say, self-concealment. That is, covering oneself with ignorance. Knowingly, I am making mistakes. Bhaver gore, chori kura. Self-conceit. I know I am making mistake, but I keep it covered from myself and from others, and give a nice shape to it, because desires are so powerful. So he threw away all that. Mind never aspired for it again. It was almost dusk. The master and M stood talking alone near the door on the southeast veranda. It was almost dusk. We see him coming early and late in the night. It was almost dusk. The master stood talking alone near the door of the southeast veranda. Master to M. The mind of the yogi is always fixed on God, always absorbed in the self. You can recognize such a man by merely looking at him. His eyes are wide open with an aimless look, like the eyes of the mother bird hatching her eggs. Entire mind is fixed on the eggs, and there is vacant look in her eyes. Can you show me such a picture? Master, he has described one side, how a worldly man feels for the worldly objects of enjoyment and possession. Now he is explaining the other side, how a yogi will be. What are the qualities of a worldly man? What are the qualities of a yogi? How to undergo this transformation from the world of enjoyment to the world of realization, transcendence, from the bondage to liberation. How to go about. Again, we have to remember the only purpose of human life is to transcend the nature and go beyond. And that can never be achieved through any other species, any other bodies, even of the gods and goddesses. Whatever form they have is also equally binding as the lower insects and animals. In the only human body, there is the adhikara of work, action bringing the fruit. In other species or in the higher levels of existence, there is no power or there is no authority, there is no opportunity to work and get the fruit. Karma is possible. Karma binds only man. If a dog bites or if a god favors, nothing will harm, nothing will tempt, nothing will bind. In human, it binds, it helps. If you go good work, you will elevate. If it is bad work, you will deteriorate. Karma adhikara exists only in humans. Mind of the yogi is always fixed on God, always absorbed in the self. The God we usually, at our stage of evolution, normal people, the God is an objective perfection, something which is unlimited, which can do and undo anything, all powerful, all pervading maximum. This doesn't come into our picture normally, but a God is an objective personality. Some take as with form, some take as without form, but gunas, the qualities are associated with God. Extreme kindness, mercy, compassion, love of beings, and able to do or willing to do anything for the sake of devotees. All these qualities we associate with a person. So, understanding of God. God, when we say technically or in the philosophically, especially with the Advaitic view of Vedanta, then we include ourselves entirely into the existence as a part of our existence, inseparable part of our existence. And we are part and inseparable part of our existence. These two aspects we bring about in our life. That is, when I say God, it includes the whole universe, and I also in it. Part and parcel, inseparable part and parcel of our existence. This aspect we don't see when we use the Dvaitic understanding of God. Usually when we say God is separate from me and I need His help, I need His, that is the approach with which we go. Mind of the yogi is always fixed on God, always absorbed in the self. Means when I take myself with the bodily existence, yogi is one who is both one who has realized God and living in God of realization, knowing everything as part and parcel of God is also God. And on the other side, uh, self, the self, the bodily existence, self is subjective, God is objective. As if God is objective, ultimate or something. He is supreme, but I am seeing Him separate from me. And when I look at myself, body excluding bodily existence, my being is there, that understanding is there, and a part of mind separates from my bodily existence, and it is there. Just like I can never think of myself being independent of clothes. I understand I am something independent of clothes. These clothes I understand. I am not clothes. But here I see I am getting absorbed. I am getting absorbed in the self. He is absorbed in the self. Means he is body. He is absorbed in the self. Being body, getting absorbed in the self. Just like a child is seeing television, and getting absorbed in it. He exists independent of the TV, but is getting absorbed into it. Absorption. Absorption make me continue my existence, but in the object of my interest, I am getting as if lost. I continue to exist. My existence continues. A child getting absorbed continues to exist. The moment diversion takes place, he is there with his bodily existence. That kind of. And when we say his mind is fixed, always fixed on God. His mind is always fixed on God. Does it not do all other activities and duties? Yes. Mind has the unique capacity to get absorbed in one thing and attending to other thing also. It is like Sri Ramakrishna explains, like toothache. Toothache is there, he is attending to all duties and is constantly aware of the pain of the tooth. Tooth is paining, he is constantly aware, attending to all the duties, going to office, working, everything is there, simultaneously is experiencing like that. Multitasking is possible for mind. It can work at various levels simultaneously, as if it is split into watertight compartments. It can think about. So, by practice, I can keep my mind on God, and with the same mind I can work in the world. So yogi, first condition of yoga itself is total control of mind. Shama and Dhamma are important aspects of yoga. That is calmness of mind. A mind completely which is under the control of the individual self, that is ego. I, my mind. I am there, my mind is there. Ego remains associated mostly with the self, or the conscious entity within. It is, and identifies the objective world. God. Three entities remain, that is God, world, Jagat, Ishvara, and Jiva. World, God, and the individual self. Yogi's mind, the Jiva, is associated with the two. Oneself as the self and the other as God. Objectively, the mind rests in God. How you see, the yogi's mind of the yogi is always fixed on God. Mind of the yogi is always fixed on God. Always absorbed in the self. Subjective and objective. It is aware of the world as if, and a power or consciousness which pervades the universe and remains there. And it is as if mind has expanded either side. Within, on one side, it is in self. The body is slowly dissolving away, and I as self, because actually the bodily existence cannot recognize God. The more you think of God, you are more self. The more you think of the world, you are body. So when I am getting absorbed in the God, whatever be my understanding of God, God is not world, God is not myself. God is something supreme, something spiritual. The whole world is material. Whatever be my understanding of God, it is not world. It is what governs the world. You can take it still higher, God pervades the world. For normal individual, God is one who operates, governs, controls all jivas and this universe. So when we understand God pervades everything, controls, the more I think of God, if my mind is kept on God, mind is fixed on God, then I have to retire from the bodily existence. I cannot be body and love God intensely. I have to retire back. The more I get absorbed in God, I am more absorbed in the self. I am identifying. Absorbed in the self means my ego is getting identified with the self. My ego, I am. This I am is identifying with the physical identity, bodily existence normally. Now, when I look at the world, my ego is absorbed in the personality, individuality. But when my mind is fixed on God, the something beyond this world, something beyond body, I am. If mind is fixed on God, the ego is slowly retreating back. Behind it is going and getting absorbed. I, independent of body, is fixed. My mind is loving, are absorbed in God beyond the universe. The mind of yogi, he is called yogi because his senses are totally under his control. Mind is totally under his control. He can fix anywhere his mind. Shama and Dhamma. Total control over, mastery over the mind. Whatever the person accepts, expects, or wants to do, mind does it. Mind come here and sit, it sits. Mind go there and do that, it does. Without resistance, without revolt. Whatever it wants, like an obedient child, extremely obedient child. Whatever you tell, it does. Like that, the mind becomes so favorable to the individual's evolution that it gives up its bad ego and maintains a fine spiritual ego with which it moves. Similarly, senses. Senses are not attached to the objects. I want tasty food. I want fine things to see. I want to hear music which is full of excitement. No, that side it doesn't go. Mind, senses are wants to remain absorbed in the things which give peace and joy, unbroken joy, peace, calmness, pleasantness within. So, Shama and Dhamma becomes an important part. You can recognize such a man by merely looking at him. Just looking at him, how calm that person is, how pleasant is his nature, how he moves about, how he talks. This is what Arjuna asked Krishna in the end of second chapter. Krishna is explaining to him Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga. That Buddhi Yoga, the mind which is associated with the divine, how it will be. Arjuna asks him, what are the characteristics who has transcended this nature and gone beyond, who is Jivan Mukta, who is Sthita Prajna, whose mind is fixed permanently forever in God. Sthita Prajna Lakshana. Second chapter ends with the Sthita Prajna Lakshana. How he looks, his eyes are wide open, with an aimless look. It is always like this. His blank sight is not absorbing anything. With open eyes, he is seeing the world like newly born child. It has no judgment to pass. It has no meaning to give. But he is looking. Why? His awareness is filled with the divine. It is resting in divine. It is filled with divine. His awareness. So eyes are blindly looking. Like a hen or bird hatching the egg. Looks like the eyes of a mother bird hatching eggs. Entire mind is fixed on the eggs. How the mother bird sits on the egg, trying to hatch it, and while it is just looking here, there, blindly, whole its mind is on the egg. And there is vacant look in her eyes, vacant look. Can you show me such a picture? Sri Ramakrishna wants to see such a picture. Means he has explained the state of a yogi. At the same time, he wants him to enter deeper layers of reality. Now you see, all this is direct instructions to us individually. It is not Sri Ramakrishna talking to him, but he is talking to our hearts. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.